Yes, welcome back, loony listeners. You are listening to Into the Night, the Moon Knight podcast, and this is episode 218, and you are with your High Priest of Khonshu, Ray. Praise Khonshu, under Khonshu's eye, and tonight we have an Over the Moon segment, so that is an arc review, and joining me on this journey, this 5-issue journey, is the power of Chad. Chad, welcome back.
Hey Ray, how's it going?
Yeah, good. I am pumped for this arc review. I've read this a few times, but it's been a while since I've read it last, and I am enjoying it. Anyway, listeners, as you'll see on the front of the tin, we are reviewing Volume 5, issues 26 to 30. It's Down South by Mike Benson. This was a choice of yours, Chad, I believe, and a beautiful one at that.
Yep. I just realized that we hadn't picked up on it, and it's just like, why haven't we hit this one before? Yeah. I mean, it's Mike Benson, it's edited by Axel Alonso. It's like, come on. Yeah. Why haven't we done this?
Well, I mean, we'll get into it later, shortly. There are a few things, I mean, I want to, mark out on this arc, but on the whole, anyway, we'll get to it. It's an enjoyable read. As always, at the beginning of the show, we want to, bring our palms together, bow our heads towards our sponsors, our gracious patroonies, so co-producers and executive producers on each of our episodes. Patroonies, thank you so much. You really do help prop up the show. Chad, I am working hard to get our website up and running. I can't wait. itkmoonnight.com. It just rolls off the tongue, Chad. And I'm hoping that I can have some of your brilliant prose to it as well.
Prose?
I don't know.
More of a con, but
love it. But anyway, that's exciting, loonies, and this is thanks to the Patroni, so thank you so much for your support. We can do that. The show runs itself now, but we're also able to set up this website, so coming soon. A big thank you to Daniel, Justin, Derek, Kyle, Wayne, Jordan, Josh, James, Russell, and Anthony, each and every one of you. I know the cadence of your names seem to be just rolling off the tongue, but I absolutely appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much for adding so much value to the ITK podcast. As well, always a big thank you to Fringe Knight by Daniel Doing, an original indie comic based on Erie, Pennsylvania's very own mysterious superhero, and our custodian sponsors, Hello Headphones, empowering gamers to play at their best, and Dreamland Comics, the superhero superstore. Now, my brilliant good sir, Chad, we are going to dive deep down south. So, I haven't discussed this with you. It's I tried to truncate the synopsis. We'll get to that. But would you like to maybe read out the credits to kick off?
Let's see here. Just moving forward. The writer was Mike Benson. The penciler was Jefte Palo, along with the inker. The colorist was Loughridge. Letterer was VC's Joe Caramagna. And the editor was Axel Alonso, which, before we get started, later on in the, I think it was the first issue, there's actually an Alonso gas and beer.
Oh, there is! Store. Yeah, that's true. I actually noted that, but I associated that with my mate, because my mate's an Alonso as well. And not that was his, a reference to him, but it's like, that's Jose's name. So anyway, yeah. Excellent. Released in July 2009. That was at least issue 26, and obviously monthly since then. Available on floppy, digital, Marvel Unlimited. It is in trade. That's what I'm reading it off right now. Actually, I hope you can hear the wobble of the pages there. That's out of print. And the big news, which we opened up a few episodes ago, is that it's going to be available in an upcoming omnibus, which will include the Houston, Horwitz, Benson, and I think maybe Bendis run. So that's coming in April 2022. So I don't know if you can get your pre-orders, but, give it a go. It's always worth it. Or just keep your eyes out or let your LCS know. Righty. Now, we also have a bare bones. For those of you that haven't listened before, what Chad and I will do, we'll go through a bare bones, which is a summary, of the arc, which is the 5 issues, and then we'll go through. We're going to freeform some aspects about the writing, art, themes, characterizations, and references to any of the runs, and then we'll cap it off with a moon rating system. A moon rating from our moon rating system. Now, Chad, can I ask you which system you will be rating from?
I'm going to go in classic because you deserve to go at Connor Shoes rating system.
Okay, excellent. So Chad's off to the classic rating system, or the vanilla, as I like to call it, and I'll be taking mine off the Khonshu's rating system. For those that don't know, Khonshu was one of the OG hosts. Great fella. He came up with this system. You'll understand it when you hear it. Anyway, Chad, so we have the bare bones, a synopsis, which I've truncated from Wiki, because it was mighty long, so it might be still a bit long now. But would you mind, shall we do it in halves? Would you mind doing half of it?
Sure.
All right. How about, do you want to do the first 4 paragraphs then? And I'll do the next 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Marc Spector now resides in Mexico under the alias of Jake Lockley. He is approached by a man named Carlos who offers him a job to rescue a daughter of a land baron who has been kidnapped by rivals and put in a cell. They bust into the prison wearing ski masks, and Lockley finds Carmen's cell. When Carmen learns it was her father who hired Lockley to free her, she becomes extremely frightened. Lockley grows even more uneasy with this mission. Grabbing Carmen, he races out of prison and meets back up with Alcantara's men at a predetermined rendezvous point. Jake is furious. He wants to know exactly what is going on. Before the men can respond, however, a sniper, the Punisher, takes down Alcantara's men. Jake shoves Carmen into a truck and drives off. He brings her to a motel where he asks her why she's so afraid of her father. Alcantara intends on executing his daughter for her betrayal in front of the Russians as a show of force. There's someone that Carmen is even more afraid of than her father, though. A butcher has been cutting through Alcantara's ranks, using only bladed weapons. Just as Jake goes to examine his gear, a rocket launcher blows up his front door. The Los Bros Zapata, a tag team Mexican wrestler duo, has arrived to collect the bounty on Carmen's head. After a fight, Jake and Carmen run away.
As the two run, the mob spots them and tries to chase after them. However, Toltec is behind and butchers their heads off. The brothers are shortly behind and learn that this was not what they signed up for, and eventually they reveal their true intention. Bring Carmen to Alcantara, but kill and rob Alcantara instead of Toltec. As they walk away, Moon Knight, Punisher and Toltec hears of their plan from separate angles. The Zapata brothers catch up with Carmen and capture her after seeing her accosted by other bounty hunters, and one of the brothers forms an attachment for the Baron's daughter. Moon Knight sees the brothers no longer form a threat, and the three, working as a group, devise a plan to take down Alcantara. The brothers will extract Alcantara's men away from his compound by saying they completed the mission while protecting Carmen, but meanwhile Moon Knight will go for Alcantara at his base. With the compound nearly empty, Moon Knight, Punisher and Toltec move towards Alcantara's base. Moon Knight catches up with Alcantara after conferring with the Punisher, and knowing that Toltec is still out there, after having Moon Knight catches up with Alcantara after conferring with the Punisher, and he leaves after knowing that Toltec is still out there, after having decimated Alcantara's men. Toltec reveals himself, and Jake walks away while Alcantara cries as Toltec butchers away. That evening, Marc watches the news with a bottle of tequila in hand as he learns of the Dark Reign events after being away from the mainstream world for some time. Marc decides to return to New York to deal with the matter at hand. So there you go, Looney listeners. That was in a nutshell. Seriously, there were pages and pages of the 5 issues synopses altogether. So I've really had to cut that down. Hopefully you get the gist of it. There was a lot more Punisher in there, that sort of stuff. We may have glossed over some of the other stuff, but we'll get into that in this discussion. So overall, anyway, Chad, reading these as a whole, as an arc, as Down South, what did you make of it?
I think that was extremely colorful. It kind of has that kind of, how do I put it? There's like a special quality to it. It's like having the assassins be men of honor. It's like that's pretty classy.
Yeah.
I like little tinges on how Khonshu interacts with Marc, just speaking through worms in tequila bottles, or
yeah.
The rat in the corner. He's the cape on his back. It reminds me a lot of Freddy in Nightmare on Elm Street. How he's always talking through inanimate objects, trying to get at people. Mm-hmm. It's like I just find that to be an amusing little mechanism.
It's a different departure, isn't it, from the other iterations of Khonshu previous, which more notably was the mutilated version of Bushman as Khonshu. So yeah, Benson really does kind of make it his own by trying to kind of vary that level of how Khonshu interacts with Marc. I really enjoyed it as well. Look, I thought it was a very solid piece of reading. 5 parts, I think that's all it needed, really. It was very tight. I think the writing was just, the writing and the dialogue was really good. It danced along that line of how much you can get away with, I guess, with censorship and violence and stuff. Just keeping in mind that you have Max comics and stuff out there, but we got a lot of like decapitations, Chad, and dismembered limbs and sort of stuff.
Marc beats a guy with a severed head.
Yeah, exactly. I know I'm laughing, and that sounds very macabre, but it's just so weird, isn't it? It's fun. So I thought the writing was really good. Look, just to kick off with I guess, freeform notes, as you're saying, Khonshu's element in their chat is one of the good things. Look, as a whole, I think it's not necessarily like apart from the things like speaking to Khonshu and stuff, it's not necessarily a Moon Knight tale. I don't know, would you agree, Chad? Marc's just a down and out guy that we don't see anything special. Like even the Moon Knight action is not particularly Moon Knight. He throws a couple of crescent darts and stuff. I say this not in a detrimental way, but it could have been anyone else but Moon Knight, right? I mean, it could be...
It could have been Ricochet. It could have been...
Yes, Night Thrasher.
Tons of people.
Yeah, it could be anyone that's kind of street level. But I still think it's good. And having said that, though, as well, this may be for the better or not, it doesn't imprint any lasting canon, or it doesn't make any sweeping strokes to Moon Knight's canon. It's just a solid piece of writing. It has Marc in the thick of it, but it doesn't really play to a lot of, the touchstones that make Moon Knight Moon Knight. What are your thoughts?
Except for the violence.
Actually, yeah, right, exactly. Except for the violence, but you could, true. But you could have Night Thrasher do that as well, right?
I don't think that truncheons do the same things that sure, Marc has truncheons, but he didn't use them here.
Yeah.
There's a lot of slicing and cutting and,
that's true.
throwing at people.
Yeah, And one of the things I loved about it was he was a more than able fighter, right? I mean, you get that at that opening scene where he fights. There's a guy called Angel, and he's got like arms like tree trunks, and it's almost it's like a betting ring, right? And he lays waste to this guy. I think that's a great way.
Twice his size.
Yeah, exactly. But I think
he straight up throws him at the end of the fight. Just
yep. Ooh. Well, you know, it's like Captain America. You can do anything with leverage. So I think Mark's really well trained with that sort of thing. But it really does set him up to be a kick-ass fighter. And you even get down the line, the Zapata brothers, one of them going, geez, he kicks like he punches like a mule's kick, right? You know, like he had to be a superhero because he punches so hard. I love that sort of stuff because it kind of elevates these superheroes obviously above the norm. But yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But anyway, sorry, I'm gushing in that sense. But what are your thoughts on the depiction of Mark?
I like seeing Jake not necessarily just being a cabbie.
Oh yeah, me too.
Like he was just kind of like a pugilist, you know, living under the cover, right? It's just that was a nice departure from what he usually has to be, where he's either, you know, knocking at Marlene, or he's riding, you know, as a cab. It's like,
yeah,
he's always seen as being the more violent and, you know, bloodthirsty. But how often do we get to see that?
Yeah, I'd not picked up that before until it was highlighted in that Bemis run as well, of how Jake Lockley was more than just a street level contact. He was like more of the rougher one, and you certainly see that here.
Yeah.
The other thing, I guess, if we're kind of sticking to writing, I'll actually ask you then, Chad, as well. What did you make of Toltec, this killing machine?
Honestly, I wanted to see more of him. You get to see him in sort of like passing by moments. It's obvious that he was the butcher at the car wreck. Yep. It's obvious that he was the butcher at the Russians. But it's just, you know, he only like pops out of the shadows, does a few, you know, dismemberments, and then just fades off. I wanted to know about him.
Yeah.
Not necessarily him showing off his prowess at murder. I want to know how he does it. I want to know why he's doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think that's a very big missed opportunity here. I think it was massively underdone in that sense. And I don't know, he almost seemed to me like, because there were so many moving parts in this, Chad. You had the mob, you had the Zapata brothers, you had Punisher, and you had Moon Knight as well. And then you had this Toltec guy on top of it. There's so many parties to it. I felt that he kind of got lost in it, and he was kind of starting to be made out to be this big ass butcher that Carmen actually says, but he does. I mean, he butchers and stuff, but he, as you say, you never see enough of him, and I don't know his deal. Like, is he really just a normal guy that just happens to, or is he really a supernatural being? And listeners may know that Chad and I had a chat earlier in the week about Moon Knight and the supernatural, and Toltec is meant to be this Mayan deity. But is he? Or is he just like a Randall Spector and a guy with a big machete just kind of hacking away at stuff? We never know. It's one of the biggest mysteries. Oh, yeah.
I think there's a chance that he might just be Mexican Moon Knight. I mean,
yeah.
Says that, sure, he uses an axe type weapon. And that sounds like Randall, of course.
Yeah.
But the fact is, we only see him kill a lot of these like organized crime types.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. He might be a Mexican version of, a badass vigilante. But I just wish we saw more of that. I wonder if that had anything to do with maybe editorial? Maybe, I don't know, what do you think, Chad? I was thinking, did they want Benson to add in something else to make some sort of force. But at the end of the day, I'm thinking I can see his purpose with the writer in the fact that he actually takes up the slack, and Moon Knight doesn't have to kill Alcantara at the end. He just leaves it to Toltec. But I don't know. I just think it was a bit of a loose thread in the whole story, in the whole scheme of things.
Honestly, I think that it would have been better suited if we had, I don't know, either Toltec or the Punisher.
Yes, because the Punisher as well. The Punisher's not... There was that one scene where he's really cool. I found a hilarious scene. I mean, I don't know if you snickered the same way I did, like after doing the reread. This big behemoth of a maid comes in in an obvious wig, and just the thought of the Punisher in a dress just kind of made me laugh. But then the guy grabs his ass and says, "Hey fellas, give a feel of this. Like, you know, her ass feels like a bag of cement." It's like, God, what the hell? What the hell? Well, he didn't last long. He gets freaking a bullet at the back of the head. But yeah, apart from that, you don't see much other than that, and the shock factor of seeing the reveal of the Punisher at the end of the first or second issue. He didn't really have that much. He just walks away at the end as well. I mean, so yeah, I don't know. You think the same, yeah?
Yeah. Like I said, I think it should have either been Toltec or the Punisher. It's just, there was way too much runtime on both of them to be a side character.
Actually, Chad, I think maybe the Punisher might have been an editorial choice. Maybe Benson had Toltec in there, and they said, no, well, you know, no one's gonna care about this no-name deity. Get the Punisher in there. Who knows, you know? What do you reckon? Possibly. Like, I don't know.
Well, I mean, now that I think about it, I mean, Dark Reign was in the middle of its, like, whole spiel. So yeah. I think that's the time that Punisher actually ditched the whole, like, trying to be a superhero in the mainland. So, yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, having said, though, that this is... I really enjoy this, and bringing up these points, it doesn't actually kind of showcase potentially how much I liked it, but these are things I think are little shortcomings to it. But going back to it, I think the story again is just so strong. I mean, it just felt like and I don't want to measure comics like this, but it kind of felt like a movie, Chad, right? You know, Mark meets that land baron, Alcantara, and he's got that Sam Elliott look, you know, the big friggin' soup strainer.
Mustache.
Yeah. Up there, and I could just hear Sam Elliott's voice, just, you know, in all his lines. But he ends up being this real bad dad, you know, and wants to kill his own daughter, and this whole thing about the Russians and them having a merger together. It's really cool. I don't know, just very kind of like street level criminal kind of story. And you have Marc Spector stuck into it. So I think it's very strong. The art, though, Chad, thoughts on the art? I don't know. Did you like it? Did you not like it?
I really liked the art. I think that it did a great job at, like, illustrating how gritty all the situations were.
Yeah.
Like, it was clean cut, but it was like dirty lines. And I feel like that was really great at portraying Toltec, especially. For Moon Knight, kind of, really the greater point of Moon Knight in that art style was the cape.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, I don't think you could get the cape to look like a face talking to Mark in any other type of style.
Yeah, exactly. It had Spawn level qualities, didn't it? I absolutely, I loved this. I wrongly had named it as the artist as a Pena, I think, like a few, I don't know, years ago. But Palo, Jefte Palo, a big hats off to you. It's just a little different, the art for me, and especially Moon Knight just looks really cool. But yeah, I think overall he's done a really good job, just with making sure that people look distinct as well, and Of course, you can easily do that with the Zapata brothers and Alcantara with his big moustache. But no, I think the action scenes were awesome, and the use of that splatter, which I think Sienkiewicz uses as well, which is just like a, what do you call it? You just spray some ink on the page. Yeah, it looks really good. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was cool. I guess, who was it? Carmen? I'm thinking of the other. Well, actually, let's go to the Zapata brothers. What did you make of them, Chad? I thought they were a lot of fun.
They were pretty great, and I like that they kept their nature sort of mercurial. Like, they were gonna just go all out on Mark. And they started, like, picking up hints that they were kind of getting worked over on the side.
Yep.
And they grew wise to it pretty quickly, despite being kind of vapid.
Yeah.
And I like that they kind of kept that kind of, like, nature about them. It's sort of like a contest for them, but it's just like the constant machismo, just bro.
Yeah.
It was a nice couple.
It was, yeah. There was that really cool intro to them when Mark is fighting them at the beginning, when they hurl that, like, they shoot that bazooka, that missile into the room, and then they start attacking Mark and Carmen, and Mark kind of gets the better of one of them, and then he tag teams his brother, and Mark's going, what the F, and the guy jumps in, and then he starts beating on Mark. I thought that was really cool. It's really weird, because as far as, I guess they're in a bit of a grey area, but as far as villains go, I found them very likable, and you kind of get on Mark's page when they say, look, we have nothing against you. When they kind of form that peace treaty, saying, look, we're going to go against Alcantara too. We just want to get paid, that sort of stuff. I found them really cool. I'd love to see them again in the Marvel Universe somehow. Because, yeah, I mean, we've only seen them, when was it, 2009? My God, it's been over a decade. Someone bring them back. If Jed McKay's listening, please bring them back. They're good. But what did you think of this whole kind of premise, Chad, of Alcantara and his liaison with the Russians and his intent for his daughter?
I think that was a great way to include, the Punisher. I mean, the Punisher's always having it out with the, the Magia family?
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, Punisher Max pops up, he just butchers that family.
Yeah.
So
God,
it's a great way for him just to be thrown in there, mess up the Russians, leave. Yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
Alcantara himself, I feel like there could have been a lot more going on there. Maybe he had ties with Toltec. Maybe he was being a little bit less than, how do I put this, supportive of maybe his lineage.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So maybe Toltec could be like an avenging spirit of all these...
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been good. I did find a little bit of a fizzer at the end. Like, how Toltec and the Punisher and Moon Knight kind of carve their way through that base, and Alcantara's there at the end, just kind of basically begging for his life, and just had that gun to him. I would have thought a bit more of a grandiose ending to him, although he has his comeuppance with Toltec. But what I did find strong was the beginning, how in the writing again, how we're led to believe that Mark is helping this guy save his daughter. And I love that moment where Mark saves Carmen from the jail, and she kind of gives him a look and tries to get away, but he has to knock her out because he goes, I haven't got time for this, and he knocks her out and carries her out. But he knows from his experience, he knows something is not right, and he kind of confronts those two henchmen of Alcantara, and then that's where it kind of goes a little bit pear-shaped. But yeah, no, I like that reveal then, because you always never think that a dad will kill his daughter, But he must be a real bad seed if that's the case.
And he's doing it just to preserve his honor with the Russians. It's
Yeah.
that's pathetic, yeah.
That's terrible. Absolutely. So he was certainly someone that I was barracking to have a grisly end, and he does. But I just felt, I don't know, that finale to me, I wouldn't say it kind of fell short, but it just, I was just hoping for a bit more for him. That was all. But yeah, I don't know about you. What did you think about the ending?
I feel like it was a little bit short.
Yeah.
Like, there wasn't enough tied up. I like that essentially it brought down Marc essentially to be ready to be introduced back into the primary continuum, so to say.
Yeah.
He's got his bags of cash. He's got his resolve. It's obvious what he's planning to do. I kind of wanted to see more about what the Zapata brothers wanted to do. Yeah. It's obvious that they were happy, but it's just like...
I know.
Yeah, but what are they going to do? Come on.
I know.
I want to see what they're doing next.
Exactly.
They were fun.
Yeah, they were. And sorry, you were right. I mean, from what you said earlier as well, it did seem that you thought that was a bit short because... as you said, it would have been good to see maybe some sort of connection between Toltec and Alcantara. That would have actually tied up really well because it actually would have given Toltec a little bit more purpose than just being this floating butcher that happens to come in. But yeah, certainly as well. And looking at references, Chad, you're mentioning about this just sets Marc up to go back. So yeah, this very much ties only towards the end to the Dark Reign thing. We see... Norman Osborn on the telly, and he's got is it the Dark Avengers there? But if I'm not mistaken, so this, did I get this right or wrong? So this leads straight into Vengeance of the Moon Knight, right? I always kind of get it wrong. Hang on.
I recall the whole scars on his back thing, so it's after Shadowland.
Yeah. Okay. Oh yeah, the scars on the back. That's right. I'm sorry, Looney's a little bit of silence there. I was just having a little quick look here. I've got my Vengeance of the Moon Knight thing because I have a feeling that it went straight into the Bemis run, but that it made no sense. That because Bemis doesn't talk about it at all. Oh no, this is 2009, 2010, Vengeance of the Moon Knight. So I'm assuming it goes straight into that because wouldn't that make sense? As you say, Marc's got this bag of cash, and he goes back into New York, and then
I remember,
yeah,
he goes back to New York, and he gets grilled by everyone.
Yep. Just
where have you been?
Yeah.
And then the Sentry is absolutely on this case. Just don't pretend like you're anything but just a vigilante.
Yeah. Exactly.
You're no hero. It's really? You're one to talk?
yeah. But he makes his grand entrance, in that ball, that sphere, and then he pops out in the motorcycle, the moon cycle. That's how I always thought it played. But then I must have got my wires crossed because then I thought or read somewhere that the Bendis run actually preceded that, which I don't think that's right. I think the Bendis run is... Wait, 1 second. Just grab this from the shelf. I'm sure the Bendis run came in 2011, 2012.
I would say so.
Yeah, so that's the last... 2011. There we go. So that's good then. That's great. Because it just gnawed at me, after Down South, it's then Moon Knight's in LA. It's what? That doesn't make sense. But yeah. Makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, he's in LA with Dawkins.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, cool. Sorry, Looney listeners who might be listening may be going face in hand, going Ray. Everyone knows Vengeance of Moon Knight goes after Down South. Anyway, I'm glad because that makes a lot more sense. But yeah, the only other references to other runs then I guess is the Dark Reign towards the end. But so you mentioned, sorry, Chad, about the marks at the back, Right, so that is distinctly from Shadowland?
I mean, in Shadowland, he was draped across the clock tower, and he was getting his back just excised. Let's see, it was by Jeff.
Oh, that was the Houston
and the
run.
nurse.
Oh, yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, okay. Was that Shadowland?
Yeah, or no.
No,
maybe.
that was a Houston run.
I remember... Yeah, you're right. It was a Houston run.
Yeah, it was after
I just remember some of the covers having the same artist.
Ah, right. Yes, that was the arc that followed the bottom. So the Midnight Suns, I'm thinking, was called. It was about Jeff Wild. Yeah, but right. That actually makes sense because he did get. Oh, there was the stuff where Jeff Wild actually. It was really grisly. He got Moon Knight up. He was torturing him with that nurse, and he had that claw or whatever, and he actually shoved it right into the spine of Moon Knight. It was really, really tough stuff. But I guess that would explain all the scars as well. So that's another reference to another run as well, I guess. Just preceding the Benson run. We're looking at a good 10 issues before this. Maybe issues 12 to 16 or 17.
And they kept the scar across Mark's eye.
Yes. I was very happy with that. Oh, you mean the left, the scar over the left eye, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good. I'm always happy when artists put that in because, that is a defining feature. And I think it's mentioned in the Handbook of the Marvel Universe, I'm not sure, about Mark having a discernible scar over his left eye. But yeah, no, good. Any other points on particular characterization? Have we covered all the characters? I mean, Punisher, there's not much that he does from what we said.
I thought that when the Punisher was active as the Punisher, he doesn't drink.
Yes,
he doesn't even take pills.
Yes, this is one of my pet peeves as well. It's not only this issue. I read it as well, Chad, but there were these other issues. I think it was the Remender issue with the Punisher, Remender issues, and it has the Punisher drinking, but he doesn't. He doesn't sully his body apparently with any sort of toxins. That's what I've read as well in his handbook or whatever, or the wiki. But yes, I don't like it when he's talking about this. So anyway, listeners as well, there's this 21-year-old Macallan or something. It's a whiskey.
40.
40? Jeez Louise. No wonder. Yeah. Oh, I'd take up drinking if that was what I come across. But Frank's come across it and he's saying, oh, look, I'll take some or something. I'll leave you these. I'm taking this with me. It's like, no, Punisher would never do that, I don't think. Never. No, he's not into vices, He's got that one goal in his head, and that's just to kill all criminals. And that's his vice. But anyway, yeah, good pickup, Chad. I think that was I got a little mad at that myself.
A little?
What else is here? I'm having a quick look. Any last thoughts? There he is. Oh, yeah, again, talking about gruesome. There's a guy. What are your thoughts? As Moon Knight's walking through that base, there's a guy holding the rosemary beads going, God protect me, God protect me. Did you know both his eyes were freaking gouged out and one of his eyes is dangling?
Yeah.
It's like, I didn't notice that initially, but when I was rereading it, it's like, holy hell! Like, Toltec has not killed him, but has gouged out his eye and left one eyeball just dangling.
Maybe he didn't necessarily do it as a primary attack. Maybe he didn't do it to torture him. Maybe it just happened during the attack.
What, the guy's eyes fell out. The guy,
yeah, it happens.
It happened. Well, maybe the other eye was glass. I don't know. But yeah. Also, yeah. I mean, again, I just wanted to say a big shout out to the dialogue as well. There are a couple of little I don't know, a little funny thing. See, there's one, I'm just flicking through it again, when Mark and Carmen are making their escape from the motel, from the Zapata brothers, and Mark's pushing Carmen through the bathroom window. She just says hands. He says sorry. Just those. I don't know. I just like those little touches. It just makes it really cool. Yeah. And she ends up having some sort of attachment to Mark, and I think in his thought bubble or something, he's like, oh, this is different from the first time we've met. Like she's like hugging him, as he leaves. But they certainly had a rocky intro.
Kind of reminds me of his relationship with Echo.
Yeah. Ooh, do you think, as a bit of an aside, Chad, we can be fans and we can geek out. Do you ever think there'll be any synergy there? Echo and Mark, a.k.a. Oscar Isaac, in the series?
I'm really not sure. I think it kind of depends on how things are going to go down in release of each show. It's obvious that there's going to be a lot of tie-ins with each other, like amongst the other shows. I mean, how many people are showing up in She-Hulk?
Oh, yeah.
Even Abomination is showing up.
I know. And we've seen Abomination in the Shang-Chi trailer as well, which is cool.
Yeah.
So,
I think it's going to be awesome.
Oh, yeah. It's going to...
Shang-Chi, I was kind of like on the fence about it. But as things have released, that trailer was solid.
I know, yeah, it's absolutely solid. The only, and I'm going to watch the hell out of it, don't worry. And I've watched that first trailer, I watched I can't remember, over 20 times. And I was really excited for it. The one thing I'm just a little wary of, after seeing that second trailer, is I hope at the end of it, I hope Shang-Chi doesn't get the rings, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because then he's just going to be like a superpowered... I just want him to be the martial artist, kick-ass guy, So, I don't know. Maybe he won't get it. But it seems that he and the Mandarin are battling and there's some... Yeah, with the rings. So, I don't know. Hopefully he doesn't get the rings at the end. That's all I'm saying. But, it looks really good. Going back to Echo, the comics, doesn't she... She's got the Phoenix Force now. Did you see that? Yeah.
She's got the Phoenix Force, and
that's so cool.
I can't imagine someone with that kind of reflex and ability, personally on that level.
Yeah,
having access to that kind of powers, that seems really overpowered.
I know it sounds.
That's kind of the downside of Logan having the Phoenix Force. Cool, but how much of that is he drunk for?
Yeah. True. I mean, I just love the aesthetic of her, that white makeup on her face of the handprint that kind of glows as well when she's in the Phoenix Force. Yeah, it just looks really cool. Anyway, I do like Echo. I think she's a great character. We have come across, and I think, Chad, you and I have reviewed the Bendis run with Moon Knight and Echo. So,
yep.
We'll see what happens. But, he certainly has a hot and cold relationship with Carmen here. I mean, I don't think we'll see her again, but she was a good character. I thought she was done really well.
She was sort of realistic. It's even though it's it's a woman throwing themselves a superhero later on.
Yeah, it's
still it's nice to not have people just see a super and throw themselves immediately.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I hate that.
I hate that as well. I think that's just, it's just sloppy writing, that sort of stuff. I'm just trying to find as well, because I didn't mention it in the synopsis. I actually cut it out because the synopsis was way long. But she mentions she was working for, the CIA or something.
The DEA, which is the Drug Enforcement Agency.
Ah, okay, yeah. So she was working against, he was building a case against the Culiacan cartel. So she was basically, I guess, feeding them info about her dad's, nasty deeds. I just gave her a bit more, I guess, a bit more backstory, rather than the fact that, it gave her a bit more purpose, rather than her dad just wanting to kill her just for the sense of showing his loyalty. But still, it's still a bad move, obviously, wanting to kill your daughter. Yeah. Anyway, shall we, if there are no final thoughts, Chad, shall we get on to ratings?
Yeah, I think we should go ahead and do that.
Okay. Well, I don't know. Have you got a figure in your head, or would you want me to go first?
I'll go first.
Yep. Okay.
I really like the art. I just gotta say that.
Yeah.
And the portrayal of Moon Knight is pretty on brand. Like I said, there's a few things I'd like to see more of. Maybe less Punisher. Maybe less Toltec. But I still think they're both good supporting characters in this.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'd have to go with a waning gibbous, 6 to 7 out of 10.
Oh, okay. Should I put you on the upper echelon or the lower echelon for that?
I'll go with this 7.
7? Okay.
Because it's still really good.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'd like to see more of Toltec. This is an intriguing character, and I doubt he just, kills people for no reason.
Yeah, true. Look, I have to agree with you on those fronts as well. I thought it was a really solid story. Like, it's something that I would enjoy rereading and reading again, only because it's just well written. You got some really cool characters, but as you say, Chad, there are a lot of kind of loose threads here with Toltec and the Punisher. I just felt that kind of really it didn't hinder the story, but it just gave it more than it needed. It felt, and my first comment as well about that, this is not really, for me, apart from his conversations with Khonshu, it's not really a Moon Knight centric story. It's just like a hard ass, which is Jake Lockley. It could be anyone, just found themselves in the mix of this. Someone who wanted to run away from up north, and they found themselves in this predicament. But having said that, though, I'm glad that this story was told about Marc, because it was really cool. It kind of shone a really good light in his favour, in the fact that he was just showcased how good he was at fighting, that sort of stuff. It showcased his nobility, I guess, with Carmen again, and we still got Moon Knight stuff with him in his costume, and like you said, Chad, Jefte, Palo, is art I really love. I'd love to see that sort of art as well. A couple of times though, Chad, I think Marc's or Jake's hair was a bit too spiky. I don't know if that's really, that's really nitpicking. But yeah, it did kind of throw me off just a little, but not to turn me off totally. But other than that, the art was really good. Standalone story. This was a standalone story. The Punisher, and Toltec, similar to, as you said, Chad. I love the Punisher, to see him in anything, and I'm glad that Moon Knight and the Punisher didn't, end up fighting again. So, which they had before. Which, incidentally, Chad, one of the other loonies, he was telling me, like, when was the first time the Punisher and Moon Knight actually came face to face? And I thought, wow, like, that's a good question, because, he's been around for a while. But it was actually that annual, Punisher Annual 2, the pink one, with Moon Knight. That was the first time that they were seen together.
Really?
Yeah, I thought there would be
before that.
Yeah, I thought there would be one before then as well. But this loony did the background work as well, because I think he's a big Punisher fan, and he said, I cannot find Moon Knight and Punisher together at all before then. So, if for those listeners listening, that was the Atlantis Attacks annual of the Punisher and Moon Knight guest starring. But they always seem to be fighting every now and again, and then having this mutual respect. I'm glad that in this instance that they were just respectful towards each other. So there you go. I'll give it a big 8 out of 10. a big, beautiful yellow man. Thank you, Khonshu. I'll give it an 8 out of 10 because I really enjoyed it. This is something that I will reread over and over. It's not too long and it's not short, you know. I've got this trade. It's 5 issues long, and I burned through it really easily because I was just enjoying it so much. Similar to you, Chad, I'd love to see the Zapata brothers again feature somehow. Bring them back somehow. I don't know, but do it, Marvel.
Bitten by a radioactive spider, student Peter Parker gained the proportionate strength and agility of an arachnid. Armed with his wondrous web shooters, the reluctant superhero struggles with sinister supervillains, making ends meet and maintaining some semblance of a normal life. That's right, do you like Spider-Man? If so, you should join me and my co-host Lil Hellfire every Tuesday on the Capes and Lunatic Sidekicks podcast for the Ultimate Spider-Cast, where we talk everything Spider-Man, comics, TV, movies, games, anything and everything Spider-Man. Miles Morales, Spider-Gwen, Ben Reilly, the Scarlet Spider, it's all there. Every Tuesday on the Capes and Lunatic Sidekicks podcast.
Out here for people.
And we all are.
Anyway, Chad, that concludes our review. A big thanks to you. No feedback. I should have shared a bit more of this. But spectacle-wise, look, last episode, I gave huge shout-outs to a few things happening out. So I'll just run through them quickly. Tomes of Evil, hosted by Russell Moran, has Moon Knight Villain Mania month in July, this month. So go check out the podcast. All the villains that he showcases are Moon Knight related, and they will feature guest co-hosts who you will recognise undoubtedly. They're all ITK co-hosts. So yeah, go check it out. Go hear your favourite ITK co-host chat with Russell about Moon Knight villains. Also, Daniel Doing has a GoFundMe for Fringe Knight. Go check it out as well. Daniel is a fantastic patroony, a great loony, and he's a great creator as well. Fringe Knight doing really well. Need your support for his issue 6 that he wants to release for his own indie title. Paul Davidson, a Moon Knight alumni, he's got a Kickstarter for his art book called Fantastic Illustrated. Paul Davidson is a fantastic artist, part of the Bemis run towards the end, a very mind-warpy, out there, man, phenomenal art. Go check it out. Please check out his Kickstarter. Also, Moon Knight Origins, they've got an Indiegogo page. They're doing a fan film. Check out the page. It has a teaser of the sort of work that they're doing. They want to release behind the scenes footage, that sort of stuff. They're looking for funding. Go check them out too. And finally, Phases of the Moon Knight essays examining the world of Moon Knight. So email Scott Weatherly, a friend of the show and podcaster of 20th Century Geek. Email him at 20thcenturygeek@gmail.com for all the details, and you can write about your favourite superhero, Moon Knight, and get it published in a book, and you'll get a copy, and you'll get paid for it as well. So really, really good stuff there. Chad, finally, I didn't put this in the previous episode, but at least one shout out a week. I want to reinstate shouting out LCSs across the world, because we need to support our LCSs. They are the lifeblood of the comic book industry. They are the places where you can meet and you can hang out and you can chat about all your favourite stuff and get all your favourite stuff as well. So a big shout out to, I'm going to call this segment, Chad, the local lunar literature lenders. Not me, but this is thanks to this American Jackal from the Discord server. Chad, are you still there?
Yes, I think so.
Okay, cool. Sorry, I'm bombarding you with all this. Anyway, a big shout out and a big thanks to Gal Feezy. He's from the Discord server as well. And I'm shouting out his LCS. It's Ultimate Comics. They're in, and maybe you can help me out here, Chad. They're in Durham, Raleigh, and Carey. And then what's NC? What is that in the US?
That's North Carolina.
North Carolina. So a big shout out to Ultimate Comics all across North Carolina there. And thank you again to Galfizi for your shout out. If you have your favourite LCS, I'd love to hear from you as well. Just shoot it up on the Facebook group or just send us a message. And I'm hoping to shout out an LCS every week because they are truly doing great work. And in these times, Chad, it's hard yakka for them. So we've got to give them their due. You still there, Chad?
I think so. Are you?
Yeah, I'm still there. Sorry. I'm sorry. Just all the paperwork at the end here, Chad. A big thank you once again, Chad. It's been awesome. These are great down south. I love this. I'd love to have you back on as well. I know. Just shoot us your schedule, and hopefully we can make it work.
Sounds good.
Cool. Next phase, Loonies. A couple of episodes. 2000. Not 2000. Oh, I hope it was 2000. No, 219, 220. Oh, that's wrong. Just look at the prompt sheet. We're doing down south. No, we're not. We've done it already. 209.
How many glasses have you had?
I don't know. I've only had 2. Anyway, I haven't updated the prompt sheet. 219, 220. Anyway, Loonies, it's going to be a first quarter. Yes. And it's actually Khonshu's Relics, which I've got here. I've got the subtitle wrong. So Khonshu's Relics, and I'm hoping to have Daniel Doing on. That will be pretty cool as well. And we're going to go through some Moon Knight related stuff. So stay tuned. We'll come up with an idle chat topic as well. But looking forward to that. Finally as well, patreon.com/ITK Moon Knight. Please check out the page. A lot of incentives. And as mentioned, a huge thank you to those supporting us already. Hello Headphones, the code ITK Moon Knight for 10% off. If you use the code ITK Moon Knight, you'll get 10% off. Dreamland Comics, if you use the code Moon, you'll get 20% off their back issues. So get your issues of Down South from there. And we're affiliate members of Entertainment Earth, so all your toy action figure needs, please click the link and that will help us too. And finally, we're part of the collective, massive number of great shows there. I want to shout out DCAU. High Priestess Khonshu Rebecca is a co-host there with Alan Sharp. They do DC Animated Universe reviews. Really cool indeed. Also as well, I'm going to give a shout out to The Signal of Doom with Dave Finn. Recently on that as well, talking Wolverine, which was a lot of fun. You can contact us on email, itkmoonnight@gmail.com, and we're also on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Discord, Get Vocal. We've got a website, and Podchaser. If you can leave a review there, or Apple Podcasts, would be forever grateful. That just gets out there a bit further to reach more loonies. So, Chad, sorry for that long spiel. Any final thoughts? Any final words before we head out?
I dared Jed McKay to have a reference drop with the chainsaw against the zombies to Evil Dead. So be on the lookout.
Oh, did you do that on Twitter?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, we're going to keep our eyes on that. We'll keep you updated with that. And thank you once again, Chad. It's always been cool. And as always, may Khonshu watch over the denizens of the night. Catch you later.
Bye.
Moon Knight and affiliated characters, stories and events are properties of Marvel Characters Incorporated. Materials used and discussed within the podcast are intended for critique and review purposes only under the fair dealing concept of the current Copyright Act. The views, information or opinions expressed during the podcast are solely those of the individuals involved and do not necessarily represent those of the copyright owners.